My name is Malcolm Eade, and the name of the company is Classic British Spares.
My name is Mikhail. I own a business with my father. We specialize in classic British motorcycles, Triumph, BSA, and Norton.
My father had bikes. He had British bikes. And he had British bikes even, when I was growing up. So that's how I got into those. Well, probably about 67 when my father dragged home a Royal Enfield in the back of a station wagon that he'd bought used. And the two of us got it running. And of course, when he wasn't home, I would take it out and ride it around Glendale. That's when I knew I was hooked. The business itself really started off in about 1990 when I couldn't find parts for the bikes that I was buying. And in those days, it was before the internet. And you're going from town to town trying to find a Yellow Pages and tear the paper out of it, with the local bike shops on it. And so at that point, I decided to go into the business and start selling the parts. And I just sold them locally. And from there it grew, and then my son took it over in 2013 and of course took it online. So now we sell worldwide.
My earliest memory of having motorcycles around goes back to I was about 5 or 6 years old. I got into working on classic British motorcycles through my father. Back in high school, we had a couple of British motorcycles and we wanted to try a new project. My dad had a BSA. It was a 1965 C15. And so my dad and we started working on it, and so we got it together, and I remember blasting down the dirt road. It was like 35, 40 degrees at night. Classic British Spares, how may I help you?
My son would have started actually helping me with bikes in probably 2000, getting interested in them. In fact, it seemed every time we left the house, there would usually be a couple of British bike magazines in the back seat, and instead of doing his homework, he's reading those magazines, and I would say, why don't you do your homework? He goes, no, these are more interesting. And what I didn't realize was he was actually doing his homework for taking this business over.
I like riding motorcycles because there's a sense of freedom that you normally don't get when you're driving a car or anything else.
Well, riding would just be the freedom of it. On an older bike, it's always a challenge to get them running again and keep them running. So if you go off on a journey and it's successful and nothing fell off and nothing broke, it makes for a really nice, enjoyable ride.
They have a certain personality that you're able to feel, like when you're on the road, the way that they idle, the sounds that they make. It's very unique for these old bikes, not just British bikes, but old motorcycles in general. And it gives me more of a sense that when you get to work on these bikes, you're actually building something that you built, that you put together. It's not like you can go down to a showroom and buy a motorcycle. You built this, you put it together, you maintain it. The feeling that I usually get getting a motorcycle back together is definitely a lot of pride and joy. Not only that, it's just doing the machine work behind it, putting all the parts together, and there's a satisfied feeling that you have being able to bring something back up from the 60s or 70s.
It's never finished because it seems like there's always something needs to be done to it or some little piece you're trying to find, but it is fun when it's done and you can take it for a ride. And you brought back something that was in a basket case that someone was going to throw out, and you can rescue it and bring it back to life.
What's that first kick or the kickstart?
Is it the first kick?
What does that feel like?
Oh man, like the first time it starts up, that's just like, it's a really interesting experience. Because everything comes down to that moment, everything that you worked on, all the time that you spent on. So it's like kind of gather around and see if it runs and, how does it run, and, fingers crossed. It's definitely, it's a really great experience.
It's just a feeling of accomplishment, you know, that you were able to get it going. There's always that bit of anxiety that, you know, is it going to seize up? Did you forget something? You know, anything could happen. But to hear it start up and take it for a ride, and it comes back oil tight and in one piece, it's pretty satisfactory. Working with my son is wonderful. I wish all fathers, you know, had that ability, that they could be in the same business or same hobby with their sons and enjoy them. It's you know, really words can't explain it.
What would you say the proudest moment you had so far working with your son?
Yeah, I got to think about that one for a minute. There's too many of them. Geez, there's so many proud moments. I don't know how I could pin one down.
I would say the proudest moments that I have with my father is actually just being in his presence, just being able to work here and working on these old bikes when we're able to work on them together, whether it's something that, you know, I'm stuck on or something that he's stuck on, if we're able to get together and we can fix something together. I wouldn't have it any other way.